types I've seen in gyms ever since. There were those who wanted to stay in shape with a simple workout 2 or 3 times a week. Most working people and busy parents fall into that category. You may be one of them. You might do a Pilates class here, some strength training there. Then there are people striving to achieve a performance goal, as I was. In Val d'Or, I would see hockey players, for instance, do trilat workouts for upper body strength in order to stay on top of their game. Like me, those guys would come in regularly, even daily, do their thing, and get on with their day. Finally, there were the gym rats, the bodybuilders, what I came to think of as the big bullies of the gym, if only because they were subliminally intimidating, like the cool boys who rule over high school power dynamics. These guys were there for hours every day. They knew everyone and would help themselves to protein and energy drinks from behind the canteen counter because they ran a tab. And they were huge, out of all proportion to their height or frame. I remember thinking early on, I don't know what these guys are doing, but their training regimen must be amazing. Even as a medical resident, I was naive about the physical transformations that were happening around me. It took a few months, but I began to notice that I was actually lifting more weight than those bodybuilders. How was this possible, I wondered, given their enormous shoulders and arms? I was putting on mass, but nothing that made me look unusual for a fit man in my late 20s. With muscles as well developed as these guys had, they should have been much stronger than me. Then an encounter in the weight room really opened my eyes. About 8 months after I started at the gym, a teenager showed up to lift weights. Luke was an ordinary-sized kid and had roughly the same build as mine. He was slim, maybe 5'9", with dark hair which he kept in a no-nonsense brush cut. He was very determined to train, and he committed himself impressively to a regular routine. I was not prepared for the result. Week by week, even though he continued lifting the same amount of weight, Luke started to grow. It was staggering just how much muscle this young man was packing on. My eureka moment happened one day when I asked Luke, whom I had grown friendly with, to spot me in a squat. He stood behind me, ready to catch me if I lurched with my weights. I faced a large mirror and grabbed up the weight. Seeing Luke behind me, I realized that this round-faced 19-year-old now looked about double my size. 3 months after he'd first arrived, his shoulders were jutting out on either side of my reflection, as were his legs. He was 230 pounds of pure muscle. I was so startled that I lost focus on my lift. Oh my God, I thought. What happened to him? Doctors don't associate doping with ordinary teens at a local gym. Even when I was presented with a teen who was putting on muscle as quickly as Luke, doping was not an obvious conclusion for me to draw based on my medical training. Medical professionals need to start making that connection, as do coaches, parents, and many others. As I've learned in the years since I met Luke, over 1 million North American teens are now using anabolic steroids and other hormonal substances to enhance their muscle growth. That number is rapidly expanding, and not just in Canada and the United States. Recent data out of the UK Home Office, in its annual crime survey for England and Wales, saw steroid use quadrupling in 1 year. That's an additional 19,000 British youths between the ages of 16 and 24 who reported taking the drugs over a single year. If cocaine and painkiller use among youth worries you, but you're not sure what to think of the substances so many young people are taking to look good, then please, keep listening. There's plenty to learn and lots to think about. Anabolics, as I will explain in more detail later on, are a class of synthesized hormonal steroids. Clinically, we refer to them as anabolic androgenic steroids, which means they have both muscle-building, anabolic, and masculinizing, androgenic, effects. There are dozens of variants that affect users in slightly different ways, but they are all produced by modifying one of